Welcome back to the 127 Fit podcast. Today's guest is a doctor of chiropractic and also a facilitator of life. Today's guest is Dr. Evan Johnson. Evan, I want to welcome you to the 127 Fit podcast.
Thank you, man. Thank you for holding this space and allowing me to share my story. I'm excited to get going.
For sure. So, Evan, we're gonna jump right into things. The first question that I have for you to kind of get the ball rolling in regards to our conversation is, how do you start your day? Do you have like a specific morning routine or morning ritual that you like to stick to on most mornings?
Yeah, great question. This is something I'm super passionate about. My morning ritual is something I refer to as doing the work. And what I mean by that is, doing the work to clear your system before your day starts. And it looks like a different thing for everyone. For me, it is something that I picked up from a mentor, another chiropractor I have in California. It's called the Presence Formula, and it consists of movement, breath work, and meditation. And so within the first hour of my day, after doing some kind of movement, some type of high intensity breath work with some affirmations, creating a lot of energy within myself, and then meditating to create some stillness, I feel like I'm ready for the day because I've submerged myself in chaos and stillness and just anything that could possibly happen during the day. I've already created it. And so when that happens, it's like, okay, I'm ready to show up fully for myself.
Beautiful.
And show up fully for the world.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, I want to touch on affirmations. That's something that on a regular basis, a consistent basis here on the 127 Fit podcast, it comes up. Kind of like the I am statements, all that type of stuff. So for you, Evan, what do those affirmations look like? Are they I am statements or are they something different? And if you don't mind maybe sharing a couple of those that you regularly kind of repeat or self-talk, if you don't mind sharing that, just that would be cool.
Yeah, definitely. I am statements and the subconscious mind, affirmations, that is also something I'm super passionate about. Our subconscious mind, even though you can't see it, it's there.
Absolutely.
And it acts like a filter. Whatever we have planted in our subconscious mind is what we get in our reality. Absolutely. And so our bodies are sensory receptors. We're here to feel and touch and taste and smell and hear. And when our environment comes in, everything goes through our subconscious mind, and whatever we have planted there is what we see and what we actually perceive.
Right.
And so when people say, like, of course I'm getting stuck at a red light, or of course I spilt my coffee on myself, yes, you're going to keep getting those kind of things because that's what you're telling yourself.
Absolutely.
And so I'm very passionate about writing out my affirmations in the I am statement and becoming what I tell myself.
Right.
A few of them that I do, and yes, I do it every day.
Okay.
I've been doing it for a little over a year now.
Beautiful.
And I do probably about 30 of them every day. Currently, I'm in a huge transitional period, like you are,
For sure,
a lot of the world is right now with this huge shift in consciousness that's happening. So I'm in a transitional period, so my affirmations reflect that. And so they're very broad and they are very comforting, centered around love and gratitude and just trying to raise my vibration again so I can show up fully for myself.
Awesome.
And show up fully for the world. So a few examples. Man, I love them all.
Well, you can share all 30 if you want, man. I don't care. It's your story. So.
One thing that's really been resonating with me lately is I have an affirmation that says, I have comfort zones that perfectly accommodate extremes.
Wow.
And so really just telling myself that and preparing myself for a broad range of like, what is life going to bring me right now, and how is it, and how am I going to be able to handle it to ultimately project myself towards my truth or my purpose. But I've found that specific affirmation lately has really been like resonating with me when I read it. I'm like, okay, I'm built for this type of thing.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, what's kind of like one thing, because we all realize as we're living this life on planet Earth and walking and going through life, we all have different fears, different anxieties, different internal struggles and battles. We all have conditioned beliefs and things of that nature from childhood. And a lot of times, these I am statements, these affirmations are, again, like you said, we're really trying to, retrain our brain. We're trying to retrain that subconscious so that we can kind of have those breakthroughs in our life. So if you don't mind sharing, Evan, what's maybe one of these things in this transitional stage or this transitional season of your life that you're really trying to overcome and break through? What's maybe one of those anxieties or fears or something that's really causing some internal turmoil that you are really focusing on, again, overcoming or breaking through?
Yeah, for sure. So I graduated from chiropractic school 5 months ago.
Okay.
Immediately moved to Denver. I knew this is where I wanted to be, and I wanted to contribute to this just amazing environment out here. The people here are amazing. Everyone is active. Everyone knows themselves, which is very important. And so I wanted to contribute to that. And moving here, one thing that was always in the back of my mind, is like, hey, you have to eat and you have to have a place to sleep.
Yeah.
And so monetarily, I was like, okay, how do I get my business going? How do I get that active? Like, what do I do? So I moved into a small office and crushed it my first month. I had 44 new patients my first month.
Awesome.
And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I don't have to worry about what I am eating. I can do whatever I want, go to the concerts.
Right.
But ultimately, like, what I was creating was out of reaction to the fact that I was in the unknown. And so, like, I really didn't like that office. And I really didn't like where I was and, like, who I was becoming. And so I recently closed that office down. And now I'm trying to find more of my authentic song and figuring out, like you are, how can I sing my authentic song for the world? And trusting that, like, when I'm being most authentic, that's when I will monetarily be comfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, being open and sharing that.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing where it's like, especially with social media nowadays, Evan, like, it's, people forget that for the most part, social media is all of our highlight reels, right? Like, we're not going on there and, talking about, not we can't say everybody, but for the most part, social media is like, we're not going on there and talking about all the fears and the anxieties and all the crazy stuff. It's the highlight reel. It's kind of the beautiful, warm, sunshine-filled days. And, as you kind of intake that, like, you're like, man, like, why can't I go travel like this person, or why don't I look like this person, or why don't I talk like that person, all this stuff. And it's like, hey, the people that we're seeing on social media, we as human beings, we all have struggle. We all have issues. We're all going through things. So I just appreciate you opening up and sharing a little bit of what you're kind of going through and what you're trying to break through and overcome, because that is real. Like, we're all in some sort of situation that we're trying to overcome or break through. So with that being said, Evan, the second question that I have for you, and if there's more than one, please feel free to share, but is there a favorite book or book that you like to gift often?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
100%. A lot of times as children, we are told how we should show up for the world.
Yes.
And with love, like, we have to know that, like, our parents did the best they can. They could with the knowledge they had.
Yes.
And, like, it's okay. And, like, it made us who we are today, and it showed us the places that we need to work on. And so myself being raised a certain way, I had certain events just continue to reoccur in my life. And instead of being like, what is wrong with my environment, I was forced to be like, what is wrong? Not wrong, but, like, why am I attracting these reoccurring things into my life? What am I not healing from my past? And why do these things keep reoccurring? Right. And so a lot of mine were centered around love and romantic relationships with partners. And so it was like, why can't I find the right partner? Why can't I find someone who is true to my vibration, that we are just completely matching? And so I picked up this book. It's called The Way to the Superior Man. Are you familiar with it?
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, so it talks a lot about like the masculine feminine balance and like what it means to be a man in this new age and what it means to be authentic, for the feminine, and be that stillness so the feminine can dance and flow. And I mean, I could go into that like so much.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you don't mind sharing a little bit more, that's fine. I mean, feel free. I love this stuff.
Yeah,
so it's good.
And so I picked up that book after a bad breakup I had over a year ago as well, and it just changed my life. It forced me to reflect and look inwards for the answers instead of searching outwards. And reading that book, man, changed my life. It taught me so much. It's like the Bible for men, I feel like. And so I've gifted it now to 3 people.
Cool.
And they've returned it back to me, and I have 100% intentions to continue to give it to people.
Cool.
And everyone I've given it to, they're just like, wow, man, like I didn't think about it like this. Like, so
you might have to. Do you have it? I mean, you might have to lend it to me, man.
Yeah, dude.
I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, so, It talks a lot about. I'm big into spirituality and energy and just how things need to flow in this world to create balance. And it talks about the feminine and masculine. And like the feminine is the flow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The waves. The feminine wants to express and be all that she is and be loved in all that she is.
Right.
The calm waters and the crashing waves. The bright sun and the dark moons. And the masculine is the stillness.
Right.
It is like the unshakable mountain that is like lets the feminine do what it needs to do and just is unmoved by that because it is the consciousness. It is the overseeing like protector of this earth. And the feminine is the earth. And so the book talks a lot about like looking inwards to create that balance within yourself so you can see the balance in the outer world.
Now, I want to dissect a little bit and kind of get your perspective on this looking inward, because earlier you when we were talking about some different things in that opening question, you said something in regards to like knowing yourself or knowing self, and just talking about this book, you're talking about going inward instead of outward, and this is something that I'm very cognizant of in my own life. And can get really fired up and passionate about is, we as human beings, we need to know ourselves. Like we need to have a foundation in our lives in which we can stand upon and build upon, because if we don't have a foundation, there is going to be no structure built, right? If there is a structure built, it's not going to last. So, this whole thing, like kind of in our culture, like what is your why and what are you passionate about? Like I'm all in with that stuff, because it's like if I personally, Quentin, if I don't have a foundation, if I don't have a direction, if I don't have that vision and that mission and that passion, and I don't know who I am, like it's depressing, because I've been there at different seasons, different stages of my life. So Evan, if you don't mind just a little bit, breaking down a little bit more, what does it mean to you in regards to going inward, and how valuable is that not only for you but for all of us human beings to go inward and to really find out who we are so that we can continue to move forward?
Yeah. First off, you're the man.
I don't know about that, but
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's super important that we know the self, because if we don't know the self, we don't know the world. And it creates a glow, really. That's what I like to reflect things back to, is like when you know yourself, you can stand there regardless of what's going on and be like, this is me. And I love it. And because I love it, I love you. And I love the rest of the world. And so, looking inwards, sometimes it can be tough.
Absolutely. It's scary.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah. And, going into the shadow, sometimes you have to go into the shadow. That's how, because if you don't, you'll never see the light.
Absolutely.
And so it's all about, for me, it's about leaning into the tough times. Like we were talking about earlier. All human beings, we have tough times.
Absolutely.
And it's all part of this greater scheme that God or the universe or the cosmos, whatever you believe in, has planned for us. And when you lean in, that's when the answers really come.
Right.
And so some of my most transformational times in my life have been when I had to go into the darkness, and just leaned into it. And I was like, okay, like, what is this teaching me?
Right.
How can I not search outwards through alcohol and drugs and sex and Netflix and all these external stimuli that cause us to put band-aids on things, but how can I look within to actually figure out the answer? Where are these things coming from? Why am I feeling this? I do a lot of fasting, 3-day fast.
Powerful, yeah.
And whenever you're fasted for 72 hours, you really figure out if your thoughts rule you or if you rule your thoughts. And so it's like, why am I hungry? Like, where is this coming from? Like, am I just sad? Am I depressed? Or am I actually hungry? And if I am, is it because I'm bored? Like, what's going on,
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of setting that intention that you're willing to evolve yourself and holding the emotion of your why. Why do you want to evolve yourself? And when you have those two things, I feel like you become invincible. It's like, let's go.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what is next, and how can I grow through it? And in growing through it, how can I be who I'm supposed to be? Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
All right. And again, just like the previous question in regards to the book, actually, you know what? One more time, will you, because there might be some listeners out there that didn't catch the title of the book that you were discussing. One more time, can you give myself and the listeners the title of the book that you were talking about?
Yeah. So the book is centered around men, but it's also for women too.
Yeah.
Because it is a way for people to just understand the balance of the masculine and feminine.
Right.
So the name of the book is The Way to the Superior Man.
Okay.
And it's by David Spida.
Okay.
Or David Dida. I'm not sure the name. But The Way to the Superior Man.
Okay.
Just search that. It's the only one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Evan. So the next question again, if there's this one, and then the final question in regards to the warm up, if there's more than one, feel free to share. But do you have a favorite quote or mantra or saying that has been very impactful within your life?
So many. I feel like man, I'm lost for words.
That's okay. Is there maybe a word though? Maybe it's just a word, because I know there's different words. It's just one word, and it's been at different seasons of my life. It's been super impactful, and I just kind of have it on replay in my mind. So maybe is there just a word or a couple words that maybe at different seasons have been super important to you? Yeah, man.
Everything in my life, I try to do it through love. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And just holding that vibration of if I do it through love, then I will feel fulfilled. And
now, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. No, well, I just want to ask, to you, what is love? Because that's a word in our culture that I'd say very recently has gained a lot of interest. It's gained a lot of traction, and it's thrown around pretty loosely, I would say, in most spaces within our culture. I love a cheeseburger. I love my dog. I love my significant other. I love this car. So in our culture, the word love, we tag that on a lot of different things. In different cultures, there's different meanings to the word love. So for you personally, when you say just the word love, to me that word is very powerful. There's a lot of meaning behind it for me personally. But for you, Evan, what is love, and what does that word mean to you?
Good question.
Thank you.
So love to me is the same thing as presence.
Okay.
And I'll explain why. When we do the work to see ourselves, and when we do the work to heal our past and heal the things that are preventing us from being who we want to be, we are doing the work ultimately to drop deeper and deeper into the present moment. And when we get deeper and deeper into the present moment and submit to the flow of life and submit to what is actually happening in this world, that, to me, when we're present, 100% I am here and now, that's when we can finally be love. Because if you're not healed, then those patterns of like trauma and everything that has happened in your life will continue to influence what you're doing. So it's not pure love. It's love, but it's like it's being influenced by trauma or things that have happened to you. And so I'm super, super huge. And I tell a lot of people this: do the work. Because when you do the work, things will open up and you will see this world more clear than you ever have seen it in your life. And so doing everything you can to be present. For some people it's meditation. Right. For some people it's hiking. For some people it is drugs. And I wish them love. And I hope that somehow they can figure out that the power is within them. It always has been, and it always is, and it always will be. And so I just hope that people really continue to wake up to the power of the present moment and how when we get there and when we do the work to get there, we can be love.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Very, very, very well put and very beautiful. So the final question here, Evan, in regards to the warm-up, do you have a favorite or most listened to podcast?
Yes, one person who has been huge in my transformational journey has been Aubrey Marcus.
Okay, yep, very familiar with him.
Yeah. He's a guy, man, who, he has an empire. He has a huge company, but ultimately, I'm very grateful for him because he's done the work. And he's done the work to see himself so much that he can formulate it into words for people like me. For sure. People like you, just like what you're doing. You've done the work, and you're here to share your knowledge, your wisdom. And so his information really has always resonated with me, and that's been huge in my journey. I've listened to over 50 of his podcasts, and good.
For any of you listeners out there that aren't familiar with Aubrey Marcus, I believe he's the founder of On It. So that's kind of like a supplement company, and they've really branched out. But that's definitely his empire. And I think like Joe Rogan. There's some pretty Tim Kennedy, some pretty big name people, heavy hitters within our world, especially like health and fitness that are a part of On It. I think they're based out of Austin, Texas. There's an On It Academy, training facility for MMA guys, and it's definitely an interesting and fascinating kind of avenue for fitness and just mindset in life. And so if you don't know who Aubrey Marcus is, I know he came out with a book here, I think within the last year. He's got his own podcast. There's also an On It podcast, which is kind of separate from Aubrey's. Now he's kind of branched out. But if you've heard of On It, supplements, things like that, that's kind of Aubrey's child. So, all right. So, Evan, I want to just dig into a little bit about, and you alluded to a little bit already, kind of your upbringing and some different things. But if you don't mind sharing, kind of like where did you grow up, and kind of just in a quick little snapshot, what were those younger years like for you?
In this lifetime?
In this lifetime, yeah, preferably.
Yeah, man. So I was born and raised in Missouri. Okay. Born in St. Louis, Missouri. Raised in a small town called Washington, Missouri. Okay. It's a small German town on the river. Farm country. Yep. A lot of connection there, a lot of community. So I grew up there, and I have 3 brothers. My mom and dad are still married. Okay. They are beautiful humans. My brothers are spreading out all over the United States, just like I am. So it's just amazing to see how my family is, going towards our purpose as a whole. And so I was born and raised there. Went to high school there. I was raised Catholic. Recently, I've stepped away from the Catholic Church and began my own spiritual journey. If you listeners can't tell. But it's just part of me finding my authentic song. Yeah. And so I went to Catholic school, played basketball my whole life. played basketball in college at a school in Iowa called Grinnell, Iowa. And are you familiar with it?
I'm from Iowa. And
no way.
I went my freshman year when I told you earlier. I played football. I was at Central in Pella.
Sweet.
So yeah, I'm familiar. Yep.
Oh yeah, man. Sweet.
It's a small world, man.
Yeah, that's why we are
crazy.
here and now for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I played basketball there for 3 years. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Learned a lot. Evolved as a human. Moved my last year to a school in St. Louis called Fontbonne University. Played my last season of basketball there. After my last season of basketball, the lacrosse coach approached me and was like, "Hey man, you're kind of a madman on the court. You want to play lacrosse?" And I was like, "Yes, I do."
Cool.
So I ended up playing like 80% of the games. Started on defense.
Awesome.
It was just another amazing experience for me to grow and evolve and create new connections. And then after school, I got my bachelor's degree in psychology and went straight to chiropractic school. It was a no-brainer. And then here I am. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I want to touch on a little bit, Evan, in regards to just kind of like growing up in a certain faith. You know, you talked about growing up Catholicism. Like I grew up in a small town in Iowa, 5,000 people. So I'm sure if we spent the time to kind of talk about our upbringing, there would probably be a lot more similarities, you know what I mean? And so I grew up, going to church, not Catholic, but it was just like non-denominational. But what I kind of want to pull from you is how did growing up in a specific faith, it doesn't matter if it's non-denominational or it's Catholic or if it's, Hinduism or Buddhism, whatever, like we talked about earlier, we're all born in a specific place. We have specific parents. It's none of that is our choice. And from a very young age, we are, again, conditioned to believe the world is a certain way and people are a certain way. So growing up in this specific faith, what did that do to you, or what was kind of that journey for you as a young man, as a young boy, and then now as you've kind of branched away from Catholicism, that specific faith, and really diving into your own spirituality, what was that kind of a catalyst, growing up in a specific faith for you to kind of say, hey, you know what, I need to break away from this. I need to kind of go on my own faith journey. Just share a little bit about growing up in a specific faith and then how that's kind of been that catalyst for you to kind of walk away from that or branch off from that and jump into your own spirituality.
For sure. Yeah. So ultimately, I think religion, the metaphysical truth that like something is there is super important because I'll tell you what it does for people. It gives people something to lean on.
Right, for sure.
And it gives people something to look off into. And so when we know something is there, we can continue to be who we are for a certain reason.
Right.
And the unknown part of it is the most magical part because no one actually knows.
Right.
No one actually, Jesus, being raised Catholic, I read a lot of scripture.
Right. Yeah.
And Jesus, the human, he was just a guy who figured it out. Who figured out that the power was within him, and he figured out, how can I communicate this to other people?
Right.
And then people wrote it down, and now people read his wisdom, and they can lean on it.
Right.
And so I have nothing against the Catholic Church or Christianity. It's just like, find whatever your medicine is and use it.
Right.
Because yes, there is something there, and like sometimes I don't even know. And sometimes it throws me into funnels, and I'm like, why am I here? But ultimately, it's always coming back to the self,
right.
And understanding that, like, just gotta keep going, gotta keep being love. And so, being raised Catholic, I could go into that religion a lot. But one thing that I'm recognizing more and more of what it did for me was it created community, and it created something for me to lean on. And so, going to church. And having these certain things, being present in church with others, creating those connections with other humans, recognizing now like why that was so beautiful was because, like I said earlier, it puts you into the moment.
Right.
It's like, okay, I am here and now, and I submit to the wisdom that's going to flow through this person on the stage, and see how it resonates with me.
Right.
And that looks different for different people. There's tons of religions: Buddhism, Hinduism, Lutheran, like all of those things. It doesn't matter. People who are seeking will find the answers they need. So
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanna touch on a little bit in regards to you studying psychology in college. So what was kind of the impetus behind that? And I'm correct, right? You studied
yes.
psychology undergraduate.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was kind of the impetus behind that? And then kind of what was the impetus behind you deciding to then, after graduation, go off and become a doctor of chiropractic? So what was kind of the why or the reasoning behind the undergraduate studies and then going off to become a chiropractor?
Cool. Great questions.
Thank you.
You're crushing it, man.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
cool.
you doing this. I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you.
Sharing my story. I hope this resonates with people. And so psychology, the reason I chose psychology is because, honestly, psychology chose me. It kind of just fell into my lap. And playing basketball in college, as you know, as an athlete, it's very time consuming.
Absolutely.
And takes a lot of energy. And so knowing that I wanted to go to chiropractic school, like I could have done what most people do, majored in biology or chemistry or physics. But I was like, no, man, I'm here. At that moment, I was like, I'm here to put an orange ball in a hole.
Right.
Everything I'm doing is centered around basketball.
For sure.
And so I was like, how can I make my life easier so I can show up on the court? So I chose psychology.
Okay, cool.
And I thought it was going to be easy, but it wasn't.
Yeah. When you're starting to refer to maybe you chose that for more of the sport and make things easier, I'm thinking I think you should have maybe gone with exercise science or something, because psychology, that probably wasn't too easy, was it?
No, it flipped my world upside down.
Yeah.
And it started me on this journey now, looking back.
Absolutely.
Of looking inwards. What is your brain doing? How is it reflecting in your reality? And so it started off tough, and I was like, dang, I just want to play basketball. Why did I choose this?
Right.
But it became something that I loved. And when it becomes something that I loved, it became easy. Because I was like, sweet.
For sure. Yeah.
I get to read about consciousness and what's happening in my brain when I'm feeling certain emotions. And so I started to just lean into it. And now I'm very grateful for that education. All those 12-page papers about behavioral conditioning and how the world works. It's definitely brought me to this moment and contributed to my understanding of life. But yeah.
Now I wanna touch on something there, because I feel like the more open we are as human beings, and when I say open, I'm referring to just being open to receive whatever life is going to bring you or cause to occur or happen within your life. If we're just open and just going with the flow of life, that can be a very powerful part and experience of our life, and it can cause a lot of positivity to come from our life and impact other people's lives. And it sounds like you were you had this maybe certain mindset of why you're going to take psychology, but as you leaned into it or stepped into it, you realized a passion for it, an interest in it. So speak on the importance as a human being, as human beings of us, Evan, being open to whatever life wants to bring or put into us, because a lot of times, again, going back to those conditioned beliefs or thoughts or what have you, those patterns, it's easy for us as human beings to kind of get stuck, be the hamster on the wheel, going around and around and around, being the dog chasing the tail, there's movement, but we're not really going anywhere. So we can get really fixed. We can have that fixed mindset. But if we have that openness to allow things in, again, that can be a very powerful catalyst within our lives and other people's lives. So what's the importance and the value of being open and just, as you say, leaning into things, or like I like to say, stepping into things? What's the value and importance in just being open?
Yeah. The grass is always greener.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that. You know, like I said earlier, some of the most transformational times in our life are right after the times that we have no idea what's going on.
Right.
And so it's that unknown that I was talking about. Being comfortable in that unknown and just knowing that like there's a greater plan for you. And since there's a greater plan for you, there's a greater plan for humanity. You know, humanity is here to evolve. And when you're comfortable in the unknown, Spirit or God will guide you towards that purpose. And when you just lead with your heart, man, things just turn out beautiful. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so now got your psychology degree. What was kind of that impetus behind stepping into or leaning into a chiropractic school?
Yeah, so chiropractic, this is a long story. You want to hear all of it?
I've got time.
I will give you the Spark Notes version.
Perfect.
So, in 8th grade, I was super into basketball.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to play basketball in college. This is my life. You know, so I was doing a lot of like summer tournaments. I'm sure you did things like that.
I did.
And so I was at a summer tournament one day and got hit by this huge man. You know, as an 8th grader, 13 years old, I don't think this kid was 13. This kid he was like 6'2", and like 200 pounds, and I just got smacked by him.
Yeah.
Fell down, broke my butt, broke my tailbone, and it sucked. Really sucked.
Yeah. Probably hurt too, huh?
Definitely hurt. And so the months after that, I was sitting on a donut, and I couldn't move.
Right.
And I couldn't see my friends, and I couldn't go to recess, and there's girls, and you're going into high school, and you're like, Sigmund Freud has that hierarchy of needs, and like all that stuff. Like I was figuring out who I was, and I was sitting on a donut, and so I was depressed and dropped into low-grade depression, and I was like, oh, like this sucks. Like I can't move my body. Like who am I?
Right.
And so I finally healed, and I was able to move and see my friends, and I didn't heal right, and I was off balance. So I went to see a chiropractor, and it was magical. The healing that happened for my brain, not for my body, for my brain, you know, it healed my depression, and I'm super grateful that my parents didn't put me on medication.
Right, absolutely.
Because that's just a Band-Aid.
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful for that. And so it magically healed me, and I'm like, what is this? So I shadowed him like a month later and watched what he did and how he put his hands on people and how he just held space for whatever someone had going on, and how he unleashed the power that the body has to heal itself with his hands. And I was like, I want to do this. And so that was my first experience with chiropractic.
Okay.
Went on through high school, played basketball, was an athlete, and went to college, stuck around health and wellness. My trainers were always talking about these kind of things. And yeah, we're going to tell the full story, actually.
Go for it, man. I would love to hear it.
So I actually only shared this with one person.
Now you're going to share it with the world, man.
Yeah.
It's good, though.
Sweet, yeah.
It's good. If it's in your heart, it's good.
It's definitely in my heart, and I think the world needs to hear it. So in college, I played basketball in college, and I was at Iowa, right? Trying to formulate words, how to say this.
Oh, you're fine, man. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Take your time.
Thank you for holding this space.
Yeah. No, it's good.
So, in college, played basketball. I was the big guy on campus. You know? I was like, nothing can touch me. I have a full meal plan. I can eat whatever I want. I'm a part of this amazing community of men. We can just beat our chests and shine for the world. And it's like, who wants some of this energy?
Right.
And so we had this huge party on campus, and I was drinking a lot, and, you know, long story short, I ended up let's see. I ended up having a bad experience with alcohol. It's part of the reason why I don't drink today, but I ended up getting kicked out of the school. Because, I mean, when you're an athlete and you're a jock on campus, there's a lot of eyes on you.
Absolutely. I understand that for sure, because I almost got kicked out of my second college for drinking, so I understand.
For sure. So, and when there's a lot of eyes on you, there's a lot of people who don't agree with who you are. So I ended up getting kicked out of the school for disciplinary reasons, and had to transfer back to St. Louis. So grateful now that it happened, because it led me to this moment right now. But in transferring back to St. Louis, I was again, you know, depressed. And I was like, who am I? Like, how am I going to show up for this world?
Right.
I started dipping tobacco, working at a golf course, and I was like, what is going on in my life? You know, I'm just trying to, like, figure myself out. So I went to see the chiropractor. Same guy. Massively healed again. Within a month, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. I transferred to this new school, got my life back together. He helped reorganize my brain, reorganize my spirit back into alignment so I could figure out what I was supposed to do. So I transferred to this school, and it was great. And graduated, went to chiropractic school right after that, because I knew that's what I wanted to do. And in chiropractic school, life was happening like crazy. So crazy. You know, I was finally off on my own. School is stressful.
Right, yeah.
As you know.
Especially going to be a chiropractor or physical therapist, anything with that extended education, that's next level stuff. So it's chaos, you know, it's organized chaos. Right,
it's very hard on your body, on your brain. So great. I'm being there, having the opportunity to get adjusted from clinicians and student interns was also amazing.
Right.
Because it was like an opportunity to like realign yourself and connect back with yourself, so you can connect back to like what you're doing on earth. And through chiropractic school, the chiropractic adjustment continued to heal me, and it continued to like help me figure out more of who I was by unleashing the power that I had within myself to be who I am. And so now, like, I'm so passionate about what I do, because when people lay on that table, it's not so much like, okay, what kind of pain do you have? No. It's like when people lay on that table, I take one deep breath to clear my system, and I look at them as a human. And so I think to myself, like, what can I give this person in this moment so they can be who they're supposed to be? I'll take care of the pain. I'm not worried about the pain, brother.
Right.
Like, that's just science. That's going to go away with the adjustment. But ultimately, it's more of a connection. It's like, how can I connect with this person right now to give them what they are looking for?
Absolutely.
And how can I use my skills and my ability to clear my vessel every single morning through my morning routine? How can I use myself to give them an extension of my light to clear out what they have going on?
Right.
Ultimately, to drop them into the present moment so they can be.
So I want to go back for a moment, Evan, and just, if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about the chiropractor that you first visited when you got injured in 8th grade, and then you kind of revisited him or went back to him and got kind of reconnected, reunited during, you know, those college years. What was it that, you know, because I've had, you know, several different chiropractors on my podcast. I've, from a very young age, visited chiropractors, and most of my experiences are, you walk in, you either pay before your adjustment or you pay after your adjustment. But what I'm trying to get at is, you walk in, crap, pop, see you later. Okay. And, you know, the chiropractors that I've previously had on, and now hearing your story, the previous chiropractors on my podcast don't operate like that, and I don't think you operate like that. So, but a lot of my experience has been that. So, the chiropractor that you first visited when you were in 8th grade, and then again when you went back in college,
right?
What did he do that really sparked something within you to say that's what I want to do? Because I'm pretty sure, just from gathering from your story, you didn't just walk in, pay, crack, pop, and walk out.
Right.
So what was it that he really gave you to again spark or light something within you to say that's what I want to do with my life?
Yeah. Amazing question.
Thank you.
Something that I have realized more and more every day. I just want to give a huge shout out right now to my friends and mentors with Kairos Business Mastery and Kairos Training Culture, Dr. Brett Jones, Dr. Jordan Farley, Dr. Lance Von Stade, Dr. Darren Murphy, Dr. Caitlin Reimer. These people have paved the way for something that I have been looking for my whole life, and I didn't even know it. And that is connection through the chiropractic adjustment. And so one thing, looking back on my relationship with that first chiropractor, we connected first. We connected about sports. We connected about his life as a Kentucky Wildcat fan playing basketball. We connected about all these things. And through that connection, I was able to open up more and more and more into like what was going on. And so I don't know what his training was, but I imagine since he is a healer, he knew what I needed in that moment. And so since he knew who I was, I believe when I laid on that table, it wasn't, oh, Evan has knee pain and he broke his tailbone. It was more, Evan's laying on the table, how can I help him evolve? And so looking back, I understand it now.
Absolutely.
In the moment, back then, man, I was just like, heal me, like I'm hurting. But now I'm like, wow. And I'm understanding what the whole bigness of all this is. The connection was the most important part about it.
Yeah.
And knowing that we had that connection after getting kicked out of my first college, knowing that connection was there and that he could see me and my authentic self, going back to him for more healing, it happens,
Awesome.
because they see what you need. You're not just a physical thing that has pain. You are infinite, and you have an infinite possibility within you. So it's like, how can he help me express that through the adjustment?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful because, if we just break things down, Evan, it's like it all goes back to that human connection, doesn't it? I mean, we're all as human beings on this earth, and we're all connected. So I really appreciate that perspective that you have, and you kind of gave a shout out to some of the doctors I think that maybe helped you in this enlightenment or awakening. But I appreciate your perspective and how you're approaching your chiropractic practice, where it's like you're looking at this person like, how can I give them my energy, or how can I really just give to them and pour into them, and through that you're talking about that the healing happens. So I appreciate you being open to receiving a new way, a fresh way that from all of my experiences in the past with chiropractors, for the most part, it's just been kind of that walk in, pay, crack, pop, and leave, and there is no connection. So thank you for being open to kind of this fresh way, this new way. Thank you for being open to connecting with human beings and allowing them to heal themselves as you would just facilitate that and provide that environment for them. So cool. All right, so we're at 49 minutes here, so we're going to start moving kind of towards the end. I do want to touch on a few more things here. Now, I believe on your Instagram, one of the words that's on your Instagram, kind of within your bio, is artist. So, what does that word mean to you? What is the power of artist to you, Evan?
Yeah. Also, something that as I evolve, I'm recognizing more and more each day. Another thing that my mentors have helped me realize, through finding my authentic song, I'm also finding my authentic way to express who I am. You know, how can I get my thoughts and my feelings and emotions from above through me into this reality? And so how the world does that is through art. And we're all artists in our own way. We're all creating in some way. You are expressing yourself through this podcast. You know, I express my art, my thoughts, my feelings, my light through the chiropractic adjustment. You know, so it's like, how do I get the downloads that I'm receiving from above into this reality? And that's through the adjustment. Giving an extension of myself to other people to change their DNA, because I have been massively healed by a greater power, and I'm here to heal others.
Right.
And in doing that, the DNA of every human being that lays on my table changes.
Awesome.
And when that changes, humanity changes.
Absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned kind of in your morning process, movement. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you touched on a little bit in regards to the importance of movement, right? Kind of in that morning routine, the morning ritual, the morning process. So just generally speaking, for us human beings, because I personally believe that movement is within our DNA. It's vital. Sure. It's very important for us to reach our greatest, fullest potential as a human being. But for you, your perspective, and just you being an artist, a healer, you know, a loving, compassionate human being, what is the importance for us human beings to on a regular basis be moving? Yeah,
for sure. It's super important, man. You know, it is in our DNA. Like I said earlier, movement is medicine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I could tell you all the science and everything, but it breaks down to something really simple. When we move, we pump blood through our bodies. Hopefully, we are creating good blood with good food.
Right.
And so when that good blood gets pumped through our bodies, it heals us. And whatever we had going on from the day before, I know when I wake up and move, I'm moving blood. And so if I fell or hit my shin, it's like, okay, just move. Pump that blood. Be free. Expand my brain. And then forget about it. Because the body can heal. That's what it's designed to do. That's what it's always done. You know, so movement is healing. It's expanding. It's pushing through those barriers and being like, why don't I think I can do this?
Right.
Well, fuck yeah, I can do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm infinite. And so, like, how can I get this weight up? If I need to tweak something here and there, cool, I'll figure it out. But it's very healing and it's very expanding for me. Yeah.
What's one of your go-tos or one of your favorite ways to move for yourself personally?
Recently, I've been getting into handstands.
Okay, cool.
Because it's connections in my brain that I've never had. And the more I do it, the more I'm learning that, like, well, if I can create these new connections in my brain, I can create new connections in life.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's forging a path that's never been there. And I'm watching the beauty unfold of, like, what else can come.
Yeah.
And so handstands, like, really, like, primal type movements.
Absolutely.
Movements that are confusing to your brain but comfortable for your body. To put you in a flow state of, like, I don't know how to explain it, man.
It's okay. I get it, though. I get it. Yeah. I think a lot of the listeners will get it, too. So
yeah, a lot of times it's, you know, you asked me earlier if there was a quote that's really been resonating with me, and there is.
Okay,
it's this. A lot of things in life are more of a feeling, less of a science. There's not data to explain things, but you can feel it. And sometimes feelings don't have words.
Right.
And so the movement that I do sometimes creates that within me. Beautiful. It's like, I don't know why this makes me feel so euphoric, but it does. And I'm going to keep doing it because I'm seeing the shifts that are happening in my life since I've been doing these things. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about the movement of basketball, or the movement that is a part of the sport basketball. What was it? Because, I mean, you know, as you've shared your story today, Evan, obviously, you know, especially in your younger years, basketball was a huge component, a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
So what about the sport of basketball, and maybe it's the movement of basketball, but what was it about basketball that really at a certain stage of your life really fed you and really lit you up?
For sure. Again, as I've evolved and as all of the world is evolving into higher states of consciousness, of knowing and understanding, looking back, now I see that really, man, it was all about the journey. 99% of it was the journey. It was the 5 a.m. workouts,
right,
to do the work, to be better, and sneaking into the gym at 2 a.m. at my high school to get some shots up. Like, dude, it was all about the journey.
Okay,
and
cool.
And it wasn't so much about the games as much as it was like putting in the work and like leaning into like how do I become better every day, and just loving that part of it.
Yeah.
And like, because it was in those moments when you really figure out like who you are.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I could leave right now, but no, like 100 more shots, 200 more shots.
Right. Yeah.
And then before you know it, I'm getting kicked out of the gym, and I'm like, maybe I went too far.
Right.
Maybe I took a little bit too much. But dude, it was all about the journey, and I'm sure you can feel the same way.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
The lessons that you learn are just second to none.
Was there anything like within the actual, game of basketball, like an actual game, like the movement, or just like the crowd, or any type of energy like that really kind of fed you as well, or was it really just kind of more of the, like you said, 99% of it was just the journey? But was there anything inside of those games that kind of lit you up?
Yeah, there was. There was a lot of ego to it.
For sure.
Like, I want to do this so I can be seen by
Absolutely,
others, and achieve this thing. But, people gather to see beauty. People do it every day. People go to the beach to see a sunset. People go to the mountains to see what they need to see.
Yeah.
People come to my games and the games that my teammates played, that we worked for, to see beauty. Like, hopefully, if they're true fans, they weren't there to see us win or lose.
Right.
They were there to see beauty. And so during the games, that was my time to shine and show them the beauty that I've been working on every day.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we're closing in on an hour here, so we're gonna just kind of wrap some things up now. What is, and if there's more than one, and I have a feeling there probably is more than one, but what is at least one of your favorite Colorado spots or destinations?
Yeah, so by far my favorite spot it's called Improper City.
Okay, I've heard of it, yeah.
It's right here in Rhino, the art district. It has been very welcoming to me since moving here. It's a coffee shop during the day, a place to party at night. I don't drink alcohol, but like I love going there because there's a lot of like young entrepreneurs, people who are here just like trying to figure their life out.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely one of my favorite spots.
Cool.
And myself and one of my good friends here, his name's Kevin. He owns an emotional intelligence company called Habitual Roots. And we have this vision, man, to raise the vibration of the community. And so we developed this idea to have an Enlighten Your Block party. So it's going to be a mindfulness block party at Improper City. There's going to be 10 vendors there. We're going to have essential oils and meditating and just trying to help people come, gather, connect, feel what they need to feel, laugh. And that's going to be at the end of this month. And so like, it's just so funny how things are just like aligning.
They do, man.
Yeah.
when like you said kind of earlier, and we've kind of been saying this whole conversation, is like when we are in alignment personally, things align, outwardly in life in general. And it goes back to kind of that openness and just saying, okay, like, I don't know what's next, but there's something that is going to be next, and I'm here. I'm right here, right now, and just I want to receive. So it's good, man. So all right, so Improper City. Now, what are the specific dates for this thing that you're doing with Kevin.
Yeah, so the Enlighten Your Block party is going to be on... it's going to be on October 27th.
Okay.
And it's going to be at Improper City here in the Rhino Art District.
Perfect.
We're going to have food. There's going to be drinks there for people who want to drink. A lot of just people who are here trying to raise the vibration of the world.
Cool.
A lot of conscious leaders. I could name all the vendors, but like ultimately you got to come and check it out.
Yeah, for sure. And the 27th, is that a Saturday, I'm assuming?
It's a Sunday.
Oh, it's a Sunday?
It's
okay,
a Sunday
cool.
before Halloween.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Awesome. I'm gonna probably have to come check that out, man. I might have to bring my podcast gear, man. Just have a little place set up. Like, hey, come podcast for 20 minutes here. So that sounds great. Okay, so Evan, before I ask you the last question, I want to give you the opportunity, if there's maybe something that's really stirring inside of you, something that's really burning inside of you, something that you really feel like you want myself and the listeners of the 127 Fit podcast to hear today. I want to give you the opportunity to share that. And what is that? What do you want to share with us?
So just goes back to being open, man. If there's one thing I could tell people, it's just the fact that like one day, like you'll see why everything had to happen to you and why things are the way they are. But for right now, just like be present, be here now in the moment. Like that's where the magic is. Just stay open to it, because when you are, and when you've done the work to like be open to it, like dude, it's magic. Like, literally magic. Like I can't explain it.
Right. Amen. So the last question that I have for you, Evan, is what sets your soul on fire?
Being of service.
Being of service.
Yeah.
Cool.
To the people. And that looks like a lot of different things.
It does, yeah.
Lately. Sometimes it's just, walking the streets and painting them with the light and just giving people what they need. Sometimes it's chiropractic. Sometimes it's holding space for loved ones or trying to show people like, hey, like you matter. And how can I reflect that back to you in the best way possible? And I'm super excited because I have a website coming out, drevanjohnson.com.
Cool.
It's going to have a lot more of my offerings. I feel like chiropractic is something I'm very passionate about, and it's definitely my flow state. It's that moment, those times when nothing matters. I'm just there, like serving the people. But I do think I have more to offer the world. So like this website is going to show all of my offerings.
Love it.
A little bit of like spirituality coaching, a little bit of just like content creation with other artists. How can I help people express themselves the most? Yeah. Lots of different things. I'm just super pumped.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you, Evan, for taking time out of your schedule, taking time out of your day to share your story, to share your heart, to share your love, your passion with myself and the 127 Fit podcast listeners. And I just again want to thank you for being open, like I kind of mentioned earlier, open to receive, open to love, open to just new adventures in your life. And it's always, like I kind of said before we turn on the mic, it's always very humbling to me when I reach out to people through mostly Instagram, social media, and they're willing to take time out of their lives to share their story with some dude that's going to drive up to Denver from Colorado Springs, So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your openness. Thank you for sharing. If any of the listeners want to find out more about you, if they want to connect with you, contact you, I know you mentioned the website that's going to be coming out soon. Where's maybe some of those social media handles or some other places that our listeners can find you if they're interested?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. That's what I'm on the most.
Okay. And
it's at Dr. Evan Johnson.
Okay.
Just at Dr. Evan Johnson.
Perfect.
A lot of my content, a lot of the funnels to my other content, YouTube, blog, events, it's all on there. So
okay, awesome.
Everything's on Instagram for right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, in regards to like your actual chiropractic practice, is there like a brick and mortar in the Denver area that people can come to get adjusted, or how does that work?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I just closed my first office because it wasn't in alignment with who I was. So currently I'm doing a lot of mobile stuff.
Okay, beautiful.
If people need me, reach out.
Okay.
I'll come and serve. But soon, and very soon, as I get more crystal clear on the vision and how, our thoughts create reality, I'm moving my office to Rhino.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So it'll be there hopefully around New Year's.
Yeah, this I've podcasted several times in the Rhino district, and it's a beautiful, refreshing area of Denver for sure. So
yeah.
Cool. All right, so listeners, as always, I am so grateful and thankful for your listening ears. I appreciate you hanging out with Evan and myself today, listening to the 127 Fit podcast. If you'd like to find out more about myself and dig in a little bit deeper with the guests that I'm bringing onto the podcast, you can find me and more information about my guests and specific podcast episodes on Instagram. That Instagram handle is @127fitness. If you kind of just want to follow along myself personally, my Instagram is @QVars. Facebook is @QuentinVars. If you guys would do me a huge favor and please leave a 5-star rating and review, and also subscribe to the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated as well. If you think you would be a great guest, or if you have a friend or an acquaintance that you think would be a great guest or guest for the 127 Fit podcast, please send me an email or give this email out, and that email is 127fit@gmail.com. And as you guys are finding great value in the episode or episodes of the 127 Fit podcast, if you guys would just do a huge favor and take that episode or episodes that you're finding value in and share them on your Facebook and Instagram stories, that would be super cool. And then as you share that episode or episodes on the Instagram and Facebook stories, please use the hashtag #BeSomeoneToFollow. And then per the usual, I will leave you with Proverbs 24:10, which states, "If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small." This time until next time, I will catch you guys later.